Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Lerno. Alongside me is my brother Tyler and my good friend Dustin. What's up, guys?
What
Hello,
up?
hello.
Another great day in the video game world. So today we're going to be
Another
talking
fucking exhausting day.
always, every day when you... but today we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed and their not Asian samurai.
Drama!
And we're going to be answering
Unpredictable.
questions from everybody in the community. So that'll be fun. But first, a little housekeeping. Last week's episode was a holiday, so we skipped that. I thought I had announced that in the housekeeping prior because we had discussed it, but I guess I didn't. And I got a bunch of texts from people that are like, "Yo, what happened?" And I was like, "Didn't we say that it's a holiday?" And like, no. And I was like, "Oh, okay, our bad." So it was a holiday, so that's why there was no episode. So whoops, we'll be better about that in the future. However, today is actually our 30th episode. That's fun.
Oh, wow.
Well, sort of the 31st. Rest in peace, the missing episode. But
R.I.P.
Of course,
yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Best content we ever made, of course.
Yeah, yep, of course it is. You know. And then we're almost actually at a year. Isn't that crazy? Next month will be a year. We've been doing
Really?
this podcast.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
I know it's been a while, but that's yeah, wow.
I know. That's
Good
pretty
job,
crazy.
everyone.
So I know Dustin's trying to look like he froze.
Oh, what? No, I'm reading IGN.
Oh, you weren't moving for like so long.
It's like,
Everyone freeze. All right. So let's start like we always do with the weekly roundup. Then we'll go into questions, and then we're gonna finish off with our keystone topic. So what have you guys been doing this week? Tell me about it.
Sure, yeah. For me, it wasn't a game heavy week, but per your recommendation, Alex, I rolled a character in Diablo 4 because apparently this new season is a little bit better and improved. So I played a couple hours of that, and I gotta say, I'm like 50-50 still. I'm like partially enjoying myself, partially kind of like remembering the hours I had sank into it when we first started the podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna continue playing and exploring and seeing if it's interesting. But that's really all I've been up to lately. I also checked out Warhammer Bolt Gun, which is a Doom / like Duke Nukem like first person shooter game. Really fun, really cool. Like I love when people take like the old style games like Doom or Duke Nukem and like redo it in today's like fashion, not graphics, but like just
Like
the
more
nice
modern.
like utility. Yeah, like the modern style and nice and clean, and they just perfect the formula. So although it's not like a game you're gonna see in like a game awards or anything like that, it was just like a really cool project that someone decided to work on. So really recommend that if you like those kind of games.
Oh, so it's not like an actual official game. It's I mean, it is on Steam, so it must
No, it's
be.
a game.
Okay,
It's a full.
it just sounded like
It's
it
not
was like
a
maybe like an
mod of
indie,
Doom.
like a mod or
Yeah,
something.
but it's like a small studio for sure. Like there's no way. Yeah. But it's a pixel, it looks like Doom, but it's, made in 2024.
Yeah. It looks like it was released last year, May.
Or 2023.
Very cool. Yeah. What about you, Dustin?
I didn't really game this week. I was up in LA proper for a work event, which is pretty cool. So it's gaming related. I was up there because Evil Geniuses hosted their Hewlett Packard Enterprise Futures Combine. So that's a partner of theirs, and they basically do this big online thing, like analytics, like tournament, and they find like the top 5 players in Valorant, one for each position, and they fly them out to LA, and then they get to play against the Evil Geniuses pro team and talk to the coaches and kind of get training and feedback and kind of like advice or like guidance on their next steps. They want to try to take in their career to become a pro player. So yeah, that was a ton of fun to get in and kind of like talk to these players and like meet the pros and the coach and everything. So that's kind of what my Monday through Wednesday was. Is just kind of doing that, and I got to walk away with this Evil Genius's Secret Lab chair, which is pretty dope. So excited about that. But yeah, didn't get to game too much this week, unfortunately. But I was sitting there last night like, okay, it is time to pick up one of these 2 games I've had in my archive for since Christmas, and it's Hogwarts Legacy or Cyberpunk. So it's like,
oh my god, both of those.
Start. I was like, I need to sit down and actually start one of these because I do want to play Stellar Blade soon, and I definitely want to play this Assassin's Creed game when it comes out. We're going to be talking about later. So yeah, I just got to get through some of these fucking games I've just been sitting on my shelf so that I have some free time to play some new stuff when it comes out. Yeah, that's all I've been working on. Oh, I did see actually that there's going to be likely, I don't know, they teased it, and it was just like a little piece of a corner, and I don't actually know if I'm correct or not, but it looks like they're going to be releasing a Stellar Blade Eve statue next week. So I'm kind of excited to see how that looks.
Very cool.
And maybe I'll pick it up if it's dope.
Nice. We're gonna have to do like on YouTube a Dustin statue haul video or something to show like all your statues. Do like a walkthrough, all the ones you currently have.
They're all One Piece with boobs, so it's mostly a lot of One Piece stuff right now.
So
there
it'll
is
be
some
a
Yoko
lot of...
Littner and some other stuff, but they're all pretty etchy or ichi.
So what you're saying is it'll be our most popular video.
Demonetized.
Yeah, I'll be our most popular for sure. No doubt. I'm very picky with
what
my
have you
statues.
been up to, Alex?
I actually been playing a lot of games. So this week for the first time in a while. So I have been getting back into Diablo 4 a little bit. I needed something that was a little casual, I guess you could say, which a lot of Diablo players are probably screaming at me right now. And they're like, how dare you? But, Diablo is like you just run through a dungeon and you wipe everybody. There's not much to it.
It's a very small sect of people who would take Diablo 4 seriously.
Yeah. But that's what I like about it. Like sometimes I want to kill things and make numbers go up, right? Like that's like all I want.
Yeah. Just kind of brainless fun video game play.
Okay. Beat this thing, get stronger, beat next thing. And I like the simplicity of that loop. And I'm a big Diablo, like the IP fan, a fan of that IP. And I've wanted Diablo 4 to be successful for so long. And I wouldn't say it's unsuccessful in any like stretch of the term, but I don't think it's been a raging success. And I think we all want it to be that. We want it to be the old Blizzard where people like really look forward to like every moment of that game and to have like the longevity.
Genre defining.
Yeah,
that's how old Blizzard was.
Yeah, exactly. Every single game. And so far, so the new season dropped like a week ago, or a couple days ago, or whatever. And so far, good. I think the improvements are good. And I rolled a new character, rolled a seasonal character. I still don't love that you have to roll a new character every time, but it is what it is. And some of the improvements are good. Yeah.
I mean, you could like re-roll the same looking character.
That's lame. That's so lame. No, I want to feel like all of my progress that I've had in the past, like pour into the next season, and it would be so easy to do too. All they would need to do is have seasonal levels, like how not that Destiny's perfect
I think
in any
part
way,
of the
but
fun of
Destiny
Diablo
has
is
seasonal
leveling
levels
from 1 to the top level. Like I feel like that's part of the experience of the game.
I disagree a little bit. I mean, I agree that that's like a big part of the game. And if you want to have multiple characters, go for it. But I don't feel like I should be forced every 3 or 4 months to do it.
Then it's just World of Warcraft, where it's just like
that's what I want, though.
I don't know though. To me, Diablo, the essence of Diablo is a different type of game than the essence of World of Warcraft. And like
sorry.
Although I, to some degree, agree that I like to keep my one character, I feel like Diablo is all... But this goes back to me also thinking you need to do the campaign every time. I think that's just integral into how the game functions, but it's not required in this, in this version.
I think I like doing the campaign every time, too. And on like a harder difficulty. But I feel like to me it was all about. I mean, I think WoW might be a step too far. Like comparing it to WoW might be a step too far. But like saying like the fact that even if I'm
Compare it
like
to
level
Destiny.
like or whatever. Well, just saying like I'm level 100 but like in Diablo 3 for instance, you have the Paragon levels, you could be level 10,000, right? But and I kind of like that it was constantly like pushing the limit. But like I'm pushing the limit of my character. And I never feel like I'm starting from scratch cuz I mean, it would be one thing if they had more account-based achievements that would go across all of your characters. So if it was like for every 100 level 100 character you create, you get 10 bonus stats in every character you make in the future or something, like that. I mean, that's a not the best example, but you know what I mean? Like if I had a reason to play this character to make next season easier or something like that would be different.
But
But
it's just like that's not how like
or like, well, actually,
the idea of ladder is all about like who is racing to the top score. So like there's no ladder if your characters just continue to move forward every time, I feel like.
I don't know about that exactly. It could be different. Like,
Fight,
but I'm just
fight,
saying,
fight,
I,
fight.
I'm saying there's better ways to do it than they're doing. Like, for instance, I think like a prestige system would go a long way. That if you could max out your character or whatever and like prestige them and turn them into like, and like reset everything.
I thought there was. Is that
No.
maybe it's a Diablo 3 thing that hasn't made it to 4 yet.
I don't know, but like that would be cool if you like you're like, hey, like I have to go back to level 1, or every time you get to your like a season, you prestige your previous character or
I'm
something
pretty
like
sure
that.
that's a thing in Diablo 3. They must not have implemented it in
Unless
4
it
yet.
was at
No.
the very last season, then I don't think it was because I played a lot of Diablo 3.
There's no
But
fucking way
anyway,
I'd play a game I have to start over every 3 months. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, like I feel like there is a sect of people, Tyler, who agree with you, but I feel like most players who play Diablo are fairly casual and don't want to restart regularly.
But then, then that's just the regular play, right? It's just the eternal.
That's what the game should be for, is the regular player.
I mean,
But,
especially if you take think about it from like Riot does this. Like a lot of pros get really pissed off with nerfs that they make because the nerfs are like more geared towards. I could be doing this backwards. Towards the casual fan, casual player, not pro. So pros will get mad, like, why is this being changed or whatever? Because they're like, well,
I feel like it's the opposite.
mass, like the masses.
I feel like they tend to nerf things due to competitive play, and then the casual people get really pissed off. Well, I guess it happens both ways because you really can't nerf something, and like competitive play, and this is a whole different topic, but like competitive play and more casual play is so vastly different.
Yeah,
it's like when people are like, "Oh, I have a
versus like the select few, right?"
Yeah.
In terms of like how you adjust a game.
I feel like the real problem here, to cut through what we're debating around, is that you should be able to keep your same character but still experience new content.
Yeah,
that's it.
Of course.
Bottom line, right?
And
everything else, like the other logistics of that, like can be manipulated, but the main idea is that I can pick my character up, create him for a new season, somehow get something that says, "Hey, you were here last season, good for you," know, and then go on.
I would mind making a new character less if it had more of it. If do whatever. Hi, sweetie. Sorry. if whatever I did in the season had some effect beyond that season. And it barely does. It doesn't at all, really, in my opinion. You can get you get some like cosmetic items, and that's it.
I mean,
and
that's mostly what all the other games do.
Yeah, but it's not enough. Like cosmetic items are good, and I don't think that should go away, and I think that is a good thing. But I don't think it's enough for me to have to spend a whole new time. But well, okay. Anyways, I don't want to
most seasonal
beat this
content
dead.
in games, in my opinion, most seasonal content adds to your existing character, and it builds that character up, right? Like especially in like FPS games or whatnot, like you're not starting over, like you're improving. So I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Yeah,
should
I
be
think
able to like just kind of go back in Diablo and like keep your character, but maybe you have to do all the content over again. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't like the idea. Does your character, the seasonal character, as you said, like is that character accessible once the next season comes out, or is it
Yeah,
just
it
like
just becomes an eternal character. Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to the normal game. So there's like the seasonal realm and the what's called the internal realm, which is just normal. It
yeah?
just becomes eternal like that.
The
So,
problem is
but
there's just not a lot of content in Diablo 4, frankly. So like if they don't reset it, like you're gonna
Right.
mash through it in like a couple
yeah,
hours probably, and then everyone's gonna be bitching that they don't have enough content in the game.
yeah,
So
which
Yeah.
is sad, especially because like, well, there's a lot of content, but not enough to replay, and so it's like the campaign is like a good 40 hours probably, or was. I don't know if it
It was
still
like
is.
30-ish, 20 to 30.
Okay, but it was a lot. And so, but beyond that, there's not a lot. But I'm not gonna go into that because that's like D4 stuff. I want to talk about this season specifically. So, what I noticed playing the season, so some friends were like, "Hey, this season's good. Like, you should jump in and play it." So far, the season's fine. I wouldn't say it's like mind blowing. The content itself there's none really. There's like no new content. So that's kind of
It's like
disappointing.
quests.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's go kill this thing. It's like go murder a field of enemies. But
Participate in the Helltide, right?
yeah, which is
Yeah.
already a thing. So there's no new content in my opinion, but things that they did change is the loot system is different now. The changes to the loot I do agree are better. You no longer need so now what happened, it used to be like the way that you level up gear is that you have these legendary items that have special attributes, and if you had a better item than the one you're using, but you wanted that attribute, you could transfer it once to a new item. And that was good, but it made it hard if you kept finding new items because you could only transfer that thing one time. And so you're like,
Yeah.
well, this is literally like a key to my build. I can't sacrifice this. So you'd end up basically using shittier gear for a long ass time. And so what they ended up doing is now whenever you dismantle an item, the legendary attribute on it, like you get like a rank in it, and you can now apply it to any legendary item. So it's much more forgiving, and you can continue. You can like keep your builds basically without having to like re-find an item that happens to have like a good roll in that legendary, which is really nice. I also
Yeah.
noticed that leveling up is very fast now. I only have been playing for this weekend, like 2 or 3 days. I think it's been like 3 days, and I think I have maybe like 6 to 8 hours. And I'm already level 60, which when my first character, which is level 80, I probably have like 60 hours in.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like they really increased the leveling up speed, which I appreciate because if I'm going to make a new character every time, I really don't want to have to, grind it out.
Grind. Yeah. Every
Um,
3 months is a little much.
but like Dustin was alluding to, the content is still very bare. There is a couple of new things. I don't know if it's from this season or before because I haven't played, but like there's a new like basically like class ladder, and there's some other like little things about masterworking items. I haven't actually gotten there yet, so I don't know how it works, but you can like masterwork items now, I guess. So like little life improvements, but the content is still missing. There's still no content, and it's like they have such a good base of a game, and they just need things to do, and it's really
Yeah.
disappointing that they don't have things. I
Well,
think it
here
could like
I have a question for you because
yeah.
we've talked about this a little bit. And I don't know if you already said it because I zoned out reading a text message for like 30 seconds, but is Diablo for a game that actually makes sense for seasons as as the content is coming out, or would it be better off in some kind of like larger, like twice a year content drops that feel more meaningful? Like,
Yeah.
is this a game that's utilizing seasons like incorrectly and shouldn't exist?
That's a great question. I think I would say yes. And my criteria for that, yes, saying that it's a bad fit for season. And my criteria is that it's mainly a PvE single player game. And that might confuse a lot of people because it's like an online, like you see players everywhere, like open world kind of a game. But you almost never party with people who aren't like your friends. In fact, you never do. You never do. And so it's like, okay, it's a single player experience, and there is a PvP aspect to it, but it's so minor and just like a footnote in the game. So it's a PvE game. So these two things tell me that like it is not a good fit for a season pass, because so season pass to me is something that it has some kind of competitive nature to it. Generally like Fortnite, right? Or like shooter games or something that like has like a cycle where you could like a sports season, right? Where you're like, okay, like this is the season or whatever. You're trying to reach, like Tyler was saying, like the ladder. Um, because this is a PvE single player game, I just don't see that being a fun way to quantify the game. And I think it would be much better off with like an episodic drop or just good old expansion pass, buy every year or whatever, DLC packs and stuff like that. Like
Does it have like a earn as you play battle pass kind of situation within the season, or is it just like the quests and stuff that come out?
No,
like where you
there
earn
was
like
some free
or...
things, but
it's like a traditional battle pass.
Level 10,
it's traditional.
level 20. Okay.
Yeah, it has that. It has like up to 9. Like there's like a 90 level battle pass with a free tier.
Yeah, I was just wondering because maybe that's also generating why they have to or why they made the decision to reset every character so that it gives you more incentive to play or purchase the battle pass.
Yeah, but the battle pass level is not associated with your character level.
But it still gives you a lot more content to play to earn it, right? If like the reset didn't happen, would you be like, would there be enough content there to get through all 90 levels of the battle pass if you weren't having to restart your character?
Probably. I mean, there is kind of like a mode that's like get as far into the dungeon as you can, and it'll like keep getting harder and harder. So you could do that. I guess if you had like a super max character, it would be hard. It'd
probably be a much more boring experience without
but that's also like yeah, and that's like a negative thing about the season though, is like if they're not giving you enough content within the season apart from the main game to finish the battle pass, then that's a failure in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just trying to think of like why they would even do that, and like that kind of gives some leverage to the situation of like, oh, we need to like let's restart the characters so that these guys can play a new character and earn the battle pass as they go, because without this like restarting of a character, like it's going to be a very boring experience trying to hit max battle pass after 3 months or whatever.
Well, if there's nothing, like when I get to the end of doing the new content and there's nothing for me to do other than what I did before, like there's very low chance I'm going to keep playing, right?
Yeah. I'm just thinking like too, like you're thinking like is it in the development process where they're thinking monetarily of how we can generate additional revenue? Like, oh, let's restart the characters every season because that will give people more incentive to play, or that will give people more things to do and more likelihood to buy the premium battle pass if we basically give them this scenario. Where if we do it the other way, they probably won't, because they're going to be grinding the same content over and over.
Yeah, I think they're cutting corners is like kind of what you're saying, right? They're like, instead of creating new content, they're like, hey, let's just reset them because that's easier.
Yeah, exactly. Like instead of creating like what's fun, like what's for our players, it's like what's the easiest way for us to make money.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. And I think it's probably, I mean, I couldn't guess the inner workings of Blizzard, but they have a lot of they have a lot of potential and they're not capitalizing on it, and it just seems like a lot of typical greediness. Like I talked about this in an episode in the past, but like I was in the shop again, in the in-game shop, and I saw this really sick set of armor, and I was like, ooh, click, and it was $25 for a cosmetic set of armor that only is available for a single character class. And I'm just like, I'm not paying, almost a third of the game's value for one set of armor. It's just so like, I don't know. I'm not gonna, we've already talked a lot on Diablo, so I'm going to close this conversation up, but I have a lot of thoughts. They could easily make this game amazing, and I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities to things like we were talking about, like Prestige. I think like a Nemesis system would be amazing in that game. Like if they did like the Shadow of Mordor kind of thing with demons. I think they have like there's so much potential in that game. Blizzard hired me. I have a lot of ideas. And it just it's missed potential. But I'm gonna move on because we have other things to talk about. But one last thing on our weekly roundup is Dustin and I are actually going to the Games Beat Summit tomorrow, which is cool. So we'll probably talk about what we're allowed to talk about next week. So that's gonna be fun. Thank you for inviting me to that, by the way.
Yeah.
So, super excited about that. All right, cool. You guys got anything else? I think we beat that horse. Good.
Into
All
the
right, cool.
questions.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about our questions. So if you want to ask us a question or leave a comment, you can go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask. That's ASK. You can leave us a comment and we'll talk about it right now. So we actually, because we skipped last episode, we have quite a few questions. So we're going to try and go through them kind of fast because we don't have a lot of time. Okay. I think some of these are from nobody seems to be using real names anymore. So I think this is from Ralph. It's I'm running out of names is what he says. Oh, you know what? We did these ones already. So we only have 5. We have 5 questions then. All right, I thought we had 9. All right. So this could be a future topic and or question. Nope, we're doing it today. So did we do all these already?
All 9 of them?
We did what video game characters do you hate the most? Did we do that one?
No.
What is the hottest character in video game? No. Okay.
No.
We're gonna start there then. Okay. I think I forgot to mark. Usually I scratch these out, and I forgot to do it. All right, we're doing a live edit right here, guys. Live edit. All right, we have 4 questions.
Okay.
All right. From Definitely Not Dustin. What is the hottest character in video games, and what makes her hot? I'm gonna say that there could also be men in this, but the hottest character in video games. Ooh. I don't know, Dustin. What do you think?
I feel like I had an answer for this when I definitely didn't put this question in.
What?
Huh? I didn't. This isn't me. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about,
Zero Suit Samus for sure.
I mean, 2B has to be up there. Could say Peach, Princess Peach, maybe, but she's not really hot. Like they don't like overly sexualize Peach. Lara Croft.
Lara Croft is a
iconic
famous one.
The classic.
Iconic, you know.
Tifa
Even
and
when-
Lara Croft are the iconic ones, I feel like.
Even when she was
Yeah.
like pixelated,
Yeah,
people
even
like
when they
were like all about
pixels.
her.
Yeah, pixelated pyramid boobs.
Yeah.
What's her name? Whisper from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, yeah, the like half naked girl who
The
doesn't talk.
sniper chick. Yeah.
What was the
Who-
other Final Fantasy character you guys were talking about? Like the yellow.
Cindy.
Is that the one who's in like the
Oh,
yellow
Cindy,
the
mechanic
mechanic
outfit?
that has no right to be who she is.
It's very little clothing on,
Yeah. I'd say a lot of women would probably say Asterion from Baldur's Gate.
Man, that. I know.
Who's the hottest character in video game? Actually, there's only one right answer, and it's Master Chief. All right.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
I mean,
I think I was gonna say Chun-Li when I came up with this.
Oh.
She's iconic. I could say Bayonetta also. I'm googling it like hottest video game characters and just seeing what people come up with. Cammy from Street Fighter is on here. Also,
I mean, there's plenty of characters to choose from.
all right.
Yeah.
Next question: what video game character do you hate the most, and why? Ooh.
Do I hate the most?
Got to think about this for a second. Who's someone that like betrays you? That's probably the one I would hate the most. Someone that like.
I'm thinking of a character that like would annoy me because I just don't like seeing them around.
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. That's a Navi.
Navi.
Navi's
Navi's
pretty
definitely
awful.
top 3.
Hey, listen.
like it's so inconvenient. And then the owl would be close.
Oh no,
too.
the owl
Like
is
that,
worse. The
the
owl is
owl,
worse.
dude, and it's such a joke. Like Katie and I were just playing Ocarina of Time, and the button is over. Do you want me to repeat this? You know, it's like
Yeah.
yes. And so
Yeah,
you
so when you're button
scroll,
smashing, all of a sudden he just keeps saying it.
Nintendo, you bastards! Like, how
Yeah.
could you do that?
Oh. Yeah,
Those are
the
enough for me.
owl.
Navi and the owl.
All right. What is the oldest game you have in your backlog that you have yet to start? Well, I have like
Well-
Atari games.
I was about to say, do we count it when the game was released, or how long I've been trying to get myself to play it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That list is too infinite to like put time on it. Like it's just like I've had
Yeah.
games I've been trying to beat since I was like 10 that I still haven't beat. So there's
Never,
a lot of them
I
I
never
have, but-
beat Pokemon Moon in my 3DS XL right here. So
Pretty big.
maybe that.
Never played that one.
I'm like going through
Baldur's
my
Gate
Steam
3 right
list
now
right
is the
now.
oldest one in my immediate backlog.
Yeah. It's like it's like I have my backlog and then I have my like backlog, right? So
Yeah.
you have like you're like this is my subset of games I currently want to play, and then I have like my library of actual games that I own that I've never played that is like 100 times bigger. Of my like more immediate backlog. Let's see. I'd probably say System Shock, the remake.
Oh, I want to play that one too. See, that's on my backlog.
Yeah.
I want to play I want to play the original first, I think, and then maybe the remake.
2 games I have on Steam that I've never played, but I did play one very briefly, but like are highly rated, and I always feel like I should go back and finally beat that. Is one I've never started Inside, which is only like a 10-hour experience, but it's supposed to be really good. And then I only played like the first hour of The Witness, and that's also supposed to be like a really fantastic game. I actually worked on this.
Oh, really?
So
It's funny because
Yeah.
I do not want to play that game. Like the puzzles do not appeal to
It's
me.
like it reminds me of like Myst.
Yeah,
well,
Of,
it's
like,
the same.
pisses
I
me off,
mean,
man.
they're both John Blow games.
Oh, did he do Myst?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've replayed Myst because that was a game that I like wanted to beat as a kid, and as a 30-year-old, I still cannot get past the fucking first level of that. Like, I'm so confused. It's been a whole lifelong journey, and I still don't understand Myst.
Thing about The Witness is it's supposed to be like extremely challenging, right? And that like it gives you like the aha moments. Like that's like our messaging was like where you're super confused, and then in one split second, like it clicks, and you're like, oh shit, I just figured it out. And like that game like does that continuously, and you know, I'm
Myst-
wrong. It's not Myst, it's Braid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Braid. That makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah, Myst is by the Miller brothers.
Yeah, Braid was made by Jonathan Blow. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a really beautiful game. It's like really interesting, but yeah, I also kind of that's why I stopped playing. I just kind of was like, this fucking give me a headache, and I don't want to like sit here and put this much time into it.
All right, next question.
In your opinion, how can devs reduce toxic behavior and harassment in co-op multiplayer games? Dude, if we had the answer to that question, we'd be millionaires. That's a tough one.
It's a big question,
Yeah.
actually.
I'm gonna assume this stems from something that happened this past week. I don't know if you guys are up on it, but basically this woman was playing, I think it was Valorant, and what happened was over mic, the guy was like, "Oh, like have you ever been raped or something like that?" And he's like, "Are you saying you're gonna rape me?" And he was just like, "Oh, it's not rape if I'm enjoying it." And basically the woman who's a Twitch streamer, she left the game.
Assaulting.
Yeah, left the game, and then she got punished by Riot for leaving.
She got banned.
I think it was like permanently, but she got like a strike or something. So she put like on Twitter, like this is fucking terrible. Like, I'm getting verbally abused, and then I'm the one that leaves, and then I'm the one getting punished instead of the person who was being toxic. And so it's been a really hot topic this week around that of like, Some people say like,
That's
oh,
horrible.
like you have the mute feature, so why don't you just mute them, or you can just block that player,
Yeah,
and
I
other
mean, it's
people
not
are saying
that
they should be
easy, but
hardware banned or hardwire banned. So like, IP banning. I'm assuming that's what that means. But so yeah, people are kind of on both sides of it. Personally, like those features do exist where you can like basically get rid of somebody like that, but that shouldn't give people like a free reign to just act however they want. And it's kind of weird over like the years of like maturity as now being like a 37-year-old gamer, so thinking back to me as like a teenager where like I was probably a little toxic and didn't really think about those things, where like now, like honestly, there's been like multiple occasions where I've been playing a game with a woman teammate, and someone will be doing shit like that, maybe not that bad, and I'll literally just tell them, like, dude, why don't you just shut the fuck up? Like you're the reason why like women don't like to play video games like this because of like what you're doing right now. It's like, just shut the fuck up, dude. So yeah.
I don't know. There's no easy answer to that question.
No.
It's kind of like saying like, how can we get humans to work like anonymously work together? It's like, oh, well, that's a hard question. I think, I mean, and this is something that I very much care about. I just think we need to culturally make it unacceptable to be like this. And like, yeah, you could argue it is, but like not enough, like apparently. So I think we just need to like use like Twitch streamers and the people who influence the youth, like they're some of the worst people. Like, and so it's just not okay. Like when I watch like XQC, and I could probably name a whole bunch of other people. I'm just like
Asmongold and
Tyler
like,
one.
yeah,
Tyler. I'm not sure I'd put Asmongold in that, but like Tyler, for sure. Tyler one.
Rage creators, they're
right?
like they like
yeah. I mean, they're like I don't know who they are as people, but like the persona they portray online is definitely a very negative persona. Like I
Dr.
really
Disrespect,
Dr.
same
Disrespect.
thing.
yeah, Dr. Disrespect. See, those are three right there. XQC, Dr. Disrespect, and who was the third one I said?
Tyler
one.
Tyler one. Like those are three
it's
people
like the
who
OG,
they use
right?
outrage.
Like...
Well, no, but yes. But like they're just three people who have like outrageously toxic personalities, and they use that to, get their platform. And people listen to them, man, and it's like it's sad.
Kids
well,
too.
they're also propped up by publishers and studios and brands because they have huge followings. Like Tyler one is like notorious for being a very toxic League of Legends player. Yeah,
he's incredibly toxic.
Yeah, he is literally on stage at like LCS finals, like being like interviewing players
talking
because
shit.
Not even necessarily talking shit, but he's just being hired by Riot to be there and be a face of the game.
He's been given legitimacy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And same thing XQC,
and he's also
like all those guys.
He's got like Diamond or Grandmaster in every single like category, so he's really good at the game. But that doesn't matter because he is an incredibly toxic human being. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just the influences are really bad. Don't listen to people like that. It's like, to me, it's like Andrew Tate level shit. Like, it's like, I mean, Andrew Tate is like legally worse than these guys, but like still, when I see someone who's like, oh, Andrew Tate, he's a great person, you're like, what is wrong with your head? Like, what is seriously wrong with your head to think that?
Yeah, that guy.
It's just wild, like how social media influences us so much, right? Like not the same exact topic, but even on like LinkedIn, you'll see people talking about like work culture and different things, and like
that LinkedIn that influences, lunatic,
like it just becomes like the norm. Like someone's like, oh yeah, I spend half my day just like playing with my kids, and everyone's like, that's so great, and it's like, you should be working, like if you're working from home, like work. So I don't know, but people see that kind of stuff and then they think it's okay. It normalizes it and gives it credibility because, so yeah, social media is kind of wild. And I think honestly, a lot of it stems for the normal person from the anonymous nature of gaming, or like of the internet, right? Like you don't have to have your real name or anything like that. There's no real consequences for your actions. I mean, oh, you're banned from Twitter, make another one. Who fucking cares? You get your account banned for a day on League of Legends, whatever, who cares? And even like those games are like free to play, right? Like Valorant. So your character gets banned, sure, you lose some stuff, but that you might have bought, but ultimately like there's no real consequence.
Yeah.
I propose that every time if you get reported a certain number of times and deemed worthy, then all of your victims just get your home address, and they just dox you like
you get
officially.
very
So you can
Jay and
go punch
Silent
people in
Bob.
the face.
It's like, are you like whatever 99? Did you say this on this form? And you just start beating the shit out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like people showed
Consequences
up
of
at your
my
house.
actions. Oh no. Yeah.
That's honestly such a great part of the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike, where they just like get rich and get all the addresses of people who talk shit on them and then beat the shit out of them.
But I mean, I think
All
we have
right.
a pretty good solution there. I mean, well, okay, not a pretty good one, but a solution is like I think we talked about that a little bit. Is that I think companies need to start, blacklisting people that are like toxic as fuck online, like Tyler 1 and stuff like that. But two, I think it would also be a good one of the few good uses of AI nowadays. And I think Call of Duty and Activision are actually like trying to do this, is where they like monitor the chat and monitor like voice chat, and um you know one infraction probably doesn't get them banned or whatever, but if they like continuously are like an a-hole, basically it'll flag them and just block them.
Well, yeah, where AI needs to come into play is like how many tickets they're processing and resolving, right? Like that's just a manpower thing that I don't necessarily think is the responsibility of a video game company.
I don't even
Like,
think I think it's like pre-report. I'm talking about like live, like if someone's talking shit, the AI is listening.
auto reports.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't report. It knows it's the mastermind doing it. It reports to itself, right?
I mean that it's
banned.
Yeah, I get it. But like that's too okay. Then we got Skynet, and like everyone's getting banned.
Skynet in video games is not the worst.
I mean, there's
people
ways
should
to get around it too, though. I mean, you could be like, "Oh, you're a bitch," and like, something like that to somebody, and
But an AI should be able to. I don't know. Either
yeah,
way,
theory.
That's the whole. That's
Let's
why
move on.
AI.
Let's move on.
Yeah, but I think that'd be a good thing for it. But
that's what I say. Better Twitch.
Just get rid of voice chat. You don't really need it. Like they
blame
like,
David.
Counter-Strike has like fucking. But there are commands that like a lot of games have, like just on the keyboard that you can do.
You know who's
I
the first?
never have my voice on.
The first game that revolutionized the in-game notifications, I want to say, was Apex Legends. There was no game that had so many detailed pings that I was like, I don't even need to like talk to people. Like I could just ping anything.
That's what I mean, though. Like you could do that. I mean, and I guess ultimately, right? And my solution was going to be like, just make voice chat optional, and it is, So like,
it is.
And I get the whole idea of like I shouldn't have to not use voice chat because people are toxic towards me because I'm a girl or whatever, or I sound young, or it's unfair, but the world is.
I mean, I'm not a girl
unfair.
and I get harassed too. We all get harassed.
Yeah,
but the point
I mean, they get
is
worse
women
for
are
sure, but
disproportionately harassed. Yeah, I mean, my fiance for sure in League of Legends is harassed all the time especially when she has a female.
We don't get harassed just because we talk like right. Women do.
Yeah, it's really disgusting.
I think it needs to be a cultural change in video games, because you're right. Like the default is like toxic for a lot of people, and
oh my god, girl gamer, hi, where are you from? How big are your boobs?
Yeah,
which it's just, I don't know. It's just weird to me too, because there's so many female gamers. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. Just to me, it was like, oh yeah, a girl in a video game. I'm like, dude, this is 2024. Like, you're probably like at least like 2 out of 10 or like 4 out of 10 people you're playing with are probably female. So like, I don't know what you're like.
I think those numbers are extremely
skewed. It depends on the game. Final Fantasy 14 has a lot of female players. A lot. It depends on the game. It really does.
Like Among Us or different things like that. I don't think like there's 4 out of 10 women on Overwatch or COD. But
really, Katie loves Overwatch.
Yeah,
anyway,
Emily loves Overwatch. All right, cool. Yeah, let's move on. Before we dive in, though, we want to say we really appreciate those who follow and subscribe to us. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning, and on podcast services and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms. So now we can dive into kind of our final topic. So, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Shadow, main character. Dustin, you wanna kick that off?
We'll start with what is the release of Shadow, right?
I
Talk
can
about
give it the
Shadow.
recap. So for those of you guys who don't know, Assassin's Creed, they just announced their newest game. It is set in like ancient or feudal Japan. It's gonna follow the Syndicate, I think Valhalla formula, where there's gonna be two main characters that you can play throughout the game. So there is a Japanese woman who is taking the assassin like role, and then there is a black samurai who is going to be like the more warrior character in the game. Ubisoft's already kind of came out and given some clarification on the roles and the characters, and they're doing that because there's been a shit ton of backlash since this announcement happened earlier this week, and it was just simply mostly a name drop and a character reveal showing the two main characters. I think the samurai's name is Yasuki, and then the woman's name is Niobe, I believe. I could be butchering those. I apologize if I am. But yeah, so this character reveal happened, and we are in this very ugly like past couple months in the gaming industry of like forced, or what is being deemed as forced diversity by a very small vocal minority of jackasses. And so we've gone from Eve and Stellar Blade to Outlaw's main character, and now
It's just
we
like
are
every game.
now we're at Shadows. And yeah, the controversy for this revolves around this group of people saying that the samurai shouldn't be black, that he wasn't a samurai. So also, this is the first Assassin's Creed game, from what I've read, that actually has a historical figure that's real. Every other one has been made up.
I love it. Just like the first one is actually a nonfiction character. It's the one that they're upset about.
Yeah, so this person, I don't want to butcher the history, but basically he became a retainer of a famous Japanese person, obviously, and basically a samurai. And I've read enough about it where, like, yeah, definitely a samurai. But people are mad because they're like, oh, like, for the really uneducated people say like there were no black samurais, or there weren't black people in Japan back then. The other ones are arguing that he was never actually deemed a samurai, and that he's just not a samurai, so that's historically inaccurate. Which this is why my name is historically accurate, man. In 2024,
have they even said he's a samurai? Like,
I mean, he is in the game, like for sure. Like he's in samurai armor.
Yeah.
But
But to me, that's one of those video game things.
He's a samurai.
It's like saying in Ghost of Tsushima, they say that he uses a katana. Katanas weren't even invented until like hundreds of years afterwards.
Yeah,
Nobody gave a shit.
Exactly.
You know, like,
it's
okay,
like logistical bullshit things that people are assuming.
But I mean, like, but the fact is, like, the dude, from everything I'm reading about him, is a samurai, or was a samurai back then. And it's just wild because, like, even last night I saw like a Twitter post, and like people were like, "Hey, if this guy wasn't in the game, and it was just the woman ninja who is Japanese, would you guys be okay with that?" And there are people who are like, "No, it's still shoving DEI down our throat," and like it's just like,
Good
and
Lord.
then what is it? What?
Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, so if it's not,
but if he was a white
it has
man,
to be like a white person in Japan.
Well,
yeah, if he was a white man, it would be fine.
That's the argument people are on the other side are coming up. It was like, none of you are mad about Neo. Neo has a white dude in Japan as the main character, and no one said shit. And actually, the samurai.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, historically, there were white people in the, like they would be coming out of the woodwork and being like, dude, bullshit like that. No, NIOH.
Yeah, NIOH.
It's
like
I was like, what are you talking
about?
No,
sorry. It's like a Souls-like game where featuring like a white main character who's in Japan.
Really, you're white in Neo? I don't remember that.
It's like I think he's like an Irish dude or something who was in prison, and then the beginning of the game like goes to Japan. I don't know. I've never played it. That's just what I read.
I played the second one. Anyway.
But yeah, everyone's pissed. Like why? Where were y'all
Okay, people are just
back
pissed
then?
off, dude.
Yeah, it's just people being mad to be mad. Like it's just so stupid. I
Yeah.
just watched the trailer while you were talking. It looks awesome. Like, I mean,
I'm so sick of having to talk about this on the podcast. Oh,
I
someone's
know.
outraged because it's a woman or a non-white person.
I know.
Okay.
It's just like I said, like it's a really
it's
dark time.
Don't go see
right now,
Hamilton.
because
don't exist in the world. I don't know.
it's just sad that
is
we
this
live
the
in
first
that
black
world
main
right now.
character in Assassin's Creed? Because
well, it depends on how you want to define that.
it's made like
Middle
playable
Eastern
character, not just
no.
like
I mean, yes,
yeah.
But the point is that it doesn't matter.
No, but I'm saying
that
my point is that it's about damn time, and now people are getting upset about it, and it's just like so stupid.
So
know,
here's my official take. Okay, one, I do not mind that this guy's in the game. I'm excited to play it because it's probably my first Assassin's Creed game I'll ever actually buy. He's a historically accurate character, so for me, it doesn't bother me at all that this guy is a playable
why would
co-protagonist. Yeah, exactly.
Racist.
The only argument I could see at all that's valid is that, and I don't even know if this is valid, but
I was about to say, what are you gonna say?
There are a lot of famous Japanese samurais who could have been used in this game instead. And Japanese or Asian representation in games isn't super high. So if you're talking about the first Assassin's Creed game based in Japan, I could see the argument of this is really cool. This guy's awesome. Looking forward to playing it. But why not use a famous Japanese samurai when there are not a lot of games that feature Japanese men as it is?
I can tell you why. Because they're not trying to compete with Ghost of Tsushima.
Or Sekiro, or I don't know.
Yeah,
man. It's just it's like saying that approaching it from that angle is trying to find cracks in the vase when we don't even know what the vase is. It's a 3-minute video about the game, and we don't know anything about what this character is supposed to be, how he's supposed to interact, what his story is. It's just so presumptuous to me when people are oh, well, why? Well, you chose this. Well, why didn't you choose these 5 things? You're a sexist, racist, crazy person. And dude,
why didn't you make the game for me?
Yeah, it's watch the end of the film, bro. So I don't understand. If someone decides to do something in a game, I would like to explore that piece of art and understand it instead of all of these people who seem to just immediately jump to all of these weird conclusions that they want to be true. They want this to be a forced diversity, and they want this to be oh, they're trying to force this, blah, blah. But what is it actually? What is the art they're trying to actually express?
Well,
does anyone ask them?
I think honestly, I think the reason that they used a real person for this
I love
game
that. I think that's super cool
to help kind of squash that thought process of forced diversity, because you can look at it from the other side of the aisle, like the movie The Great Wall, right? Starring Matt Damon.
Terrible.
You took Matt Damon and made him the main character in a movie about ancient China.
White savior.
And that could have just been a role that went to a Chinese man, and change the movie a little bit. It's just a Chinese cast. So I see that argument on the same side for this game, where it's you could have just used a Japanese man, a real historical Japanese man, instead of just a black samurai. But again, I think that's why they used a real person, is so people couldn't be oh, you just made this fucking guy up, and you're forcing diversity on our throat by making the samurai black. It's no, this is a real person. So I'm glad they made that decision to actually use a real person, because I think it helps kind of tell people they're idiots about that.
But this isn't the only case of this happening. So I assume this is probably taking place during the Edo period, where Japan was very isolationist, right? So you weren't really allowed to go to Japan if you weren't Japanese. So there's tales of this. I can't remember his name, but there was a Dutch guy who snuck into Japan and kind of became a samurai in the sense that he lived in Japan and evaded the law and or in whatever way. So this is not the only case of that happening. And so once again, though, it's like, well, we could have replaced this with a Japanese man, but we don't know the story. We don't like
Yeah.
this could be the story of a assassin woman who meets a refugee, or or meets
I
someone
don't think
who
so.
was a
I think if they're
slave, or
using a real person, that the story is probably going to follow some level of historically accurate. Like at least have
right.
him in a role that he was as a real person.
But they're gonna
Yeah.
dramatize it, right? Like
Yeah,
they're
they're gonna.
still gonna like add like moments of emotion. It's not
So
just gonna be like,
I
you
I'm
know,
looking up the history a little bit here, and I've also recently played like Valhalla, which is one of my favorite. I'm really into like Viking stuff, so I love that game. But so like it's probably gonna follow how that game did it, which is you play a character that is interacting with with real events. So like you are watching the like Lothbrok family like take over England, which is a real event. In this case, however, you're playing the character that did the real event. And I'm looking up the history, and it says the game takes place in 1579 Edo period Japan. And it says on like Wikipedia, the very first thing is in 1579, Yasuke arrived in Japan in the service of some missionary. So that's the year his story started. So I would be very surprised if that was a coincidence, right? So they're clearly starting from the beginning of his story historically. So I think you're right. I think they will be following like his story, and they will dramatize it to a
Yeah.
degree. They're going to insert the Assassin's Creed people and stuff like that, but it's going to be about like his story, how he got there, how he became in the service of a samurai, if not a samurai or whatever.
yeah. But my point is like why, like my point is that I don't understand why that is suddenly somehow less interesting, or that should somehow be like more or less valued than like inserting a Japanese person into the story of which we don't know. Yes, we are assuming that like it is following this particular guy's history, but once again, it's just an absolute assumption. We have no idea what this game unfolds. So it's just
totally.
I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
to
disagree with
me,
you.
no, and I'm arguing against these naysayers where it's just like there's too many things being like assumed, and that's where a lot of these angry folks, like if you're super passionate
I
about
mean,
this 3.5 minute trailer, like you're obviously giving too much attention or trying to push your own agenda, which has nothing to do with
let's not
this, right?
pretend this isn't a racism thing. Most of the people that are upset
It
are
is.
just fucking
That's my
racist.
point.
Yeah, 100%.
And like let's just say it, like they're just fucking
mean-
racist, and they're like, I'm a white guy and I want white characters and nobody
Well,
else, it's just that bullshit. And
They
it's
just
like,
they don't know why they're upset though. They don't even know. They're just looking for any way to weasel in any kind of argument that can throw people off verbally. There is no argument. It's just like this like illusion of an argument. And that's
Well,
why
I
these
don't
people
even
piss
think
me off.
it's not even right. Like it's not that it's not that like this isn't accurate. It's not that even though they're saying like, oh, he's on samurai, like it's not that. It's more so like like their point of view, right? Is the general idea that video game companies are either picking up storylines or creating characters around people that are of minority or women backgrounds because they're trying to make the industry more diverse, and that it's forced. They're forcing these, like they're creating these games just with the intention of trying to be inclusive. And that is
But
the
like,
argument that people are
doesn't
trying
that bear so because of all this blowback in politics in the world, doesn't that isn't that almost a necessity? And like, sure, like you shouldn't be making like decisions purely based off of that. That's obviously a silly thing to do and almost seems more racist. But the point being is like, if people are going to be so outraged by these things, and our society as a whole is so systemic about like not wanting to change our ideas of like of the status quo and like the white savior in film and video games, then it has to be forced to some degree. And of course the term forced feels forced, but the point being is like, what if they said, you know what? Yeah, there was this great story of this African American's not accurate, a black individual who came to Japan. Like cool, like that's great. That sounds like an interesting thing to explore. But like to say it's forced, like I'm trying to jam diversity down your throat instead of telling an equal distribution of the stories of the people of the Earth.
And again,
Like,
and I think that
you
is
know what I mean?
exactly why this person is a real person in this game and not a made up person. Is because it lends to the idea of like this is just we're telling a really cool story about this real person, and not just like, oh, we're just creating a black samurai in like old Japan because we wanted to.
Regardless of whether it was totally intentional or not, which I'm sure you're right, it probably was. I still think it's a really interesting idea. Like to me, that makes me want to play the game. I'm like, oh, I'd like to learn about this like half history. Sounds interesting.
No, I agree. I like the historical point of view, but again, like I said, the only argument I think that holds up any weight, not very much any weight though, is that like there already is a limited amount of Asian representation in games compared to white characters. So could you have taken a true story about a famous Japanese samurai and did the same exact thing with him and gave that Asian representation to another minority, give another minority that representation opportunity in this game, So could that have happened? Sure. Does that need to happen? Is it like wrong that they didn't do that? No.
Is it their job?
There could be a dozen stories of real Japanese people in the game. We just don't know.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be.
Yeah,
there won't be playable. But
I mean, one of the characters is that woman who's Japanese. Like, I'm sure we'll get a lot of good stuff for
exactly.
I guess what they said too was that because they've obviously been putting out some messaging to try to like help with the blowback, is that you actually can almost play the game entirely as one of the other character. There's only like certain missions that you're required to play one or the other. But I guess
that's kind of how Syndicate was.
Because people are like, oh, I don't want to play the Black Samurai. Like, well, you don't really have to if you don't want to.
Okay, you piece of shit. Like,
there's very few parts in the game where you have to play him as the main character. But yeah, I don't know why you would want to do that other than being like a racist piece of shit. So I don't know.
It's gaslighting.
I'm excited to play it. I think it looks awesome. I don't give a fuck if he's black or he's a real person, and like he said, I'm really interested to see like how they do the history with it. And I hope there's a lot of historical accuracy there because I am a big history person. So, and it's
something I always loved about those games too.
Yeah. So.
I don't know. It's like this is like one of those things though. It's like I almost feel like the fact that companies and stuff are like talking about this discourse is actually like flaming the fan a little bit. There's that like famous quote that like bees don't waste their time explaining to flies that honey is better than shit. And it's like these flies are just being annoying and we're like giving them a platform, and it's almost just be like, okay, thank you for your input, bye. Crazy person. We should just move on.
The problem is on the street. The gaming community is it is a vocal minority, but it's like a larger group of people than I think people really realize. And so like we kind of did that with Battlefield, right? There were women soldiers in Battlefield 5, and like DICE was pretty much like, go fuck yourself, like if you don't like it, don't buy it. And they didn't buy it. The game sales wise did horribly.
Shitty game.
It was a good game.
I heard it wasn't.
And Battlefield 5 is really good. Battlefield 2042 had a lot of mishaps, but Battlefield 5 like reviewed in like the 80s, I'm pretty sure. But it was just that the community felt disrespected by how DICE responded to it, and it wasn't even like anything we did. Like honestly, like the dude who said that shit was like leaving DICE and like went way off message, and it was highly praised in the media when he did that. He's like, oh yeah, fuck the incels, yeah. But people,
well, I mean, like, yeah,
like,
insulting
really
your audience when you're trying to sell a product definitely doesn't go too well. But like, I mean, that makes me feel like the Battlefield people all suck. Then I don't know. What?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that one. I think that one actually had more to do with the fact that nobody wanted a World War I game than it did that the women were in it.
No, it was World War II. Everybody loves World War II.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm sure that was a one.
Battlefield 1 was really
was World War. 1. Battlefield 5
Oh.
was World War 2. I did the PR for
Yeah.
the game. Don't argue.
No,
Oh.
Battlefield 5 was not World War II.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
What?
100%
I
World
did
War
not
II.
even know there was a
World War
battle.
II. Okay, well, World War II is also overplayed. So either way,
Wow.
I don't think
suck.
anybody
Okay, I
wanted
didn't
any
know.
more World War games.
Everyone loves
I do. I
the
want
World War
II.
games. Yeah, everyone
I
loves
want
World
the
War
World
II.
War games.
That is
Yeah.
like the
I
that
hate
is like
them.
the
Fuck COD
prime
Modern Warfare.
FPS for Battlefield is World War II. Like that's what everyone
I
wants over
love
and over.
World War II because it's such a set array of items and things and weapons.
That's the thing. Like
I love
guns
World
have
War II.
advanced. Like Battlefield 1, it was
Yeah,
it was
they're
World
all
War
the
1.
same
So the
now.
guns were kind of like a little slower, and
That's
the
the problem
Battlefield
with
2, the
World War
games
I.
and the guns advanced. And so
You don't have automatic weapons in World War One. You had like a couple, but they were really janky. So like in World War One, it's all the bolt actions,
Yeah, a lot of
and,
bolt
and that's
action.
just not as fun.
All single
That's
action
why you
stuff.
don't get like Revolutionary War fucking video games. Like imagine like
That'd be kind of funny, to be honest.
Yeah. By the way, your
like-
question and your text message earlier, Battlefield 1, the what is it, prologue? Like the first 20 minutes of Battlefield 1 that they force you to do is like arguably like one of the best like intros into a video game because World War 1 was so violent and like so many people died.
it's when you're getting killed and you can't help it.
Yeah, you can't help
Yeah.
it. And because
Your
it
cannon
was a
fodder,
way
yeah.
for DICE to basically try to like give respect of like recognizing like this was a very bloody war and a lot of people died, and so like we're gonna put you in a scenario like it doesn't matter what you
cannot
do,
win.
you will not live. And that's how the scenario was for so many soldiers back then in World War One, where you know it was just like
If
you knew you were going to your death.
If I remember, it was you were playing as a Russian soldier, which is even more, thematic.
He plays a bunch of
because-
different people.
Yeah,
Well, you play as
it
British
takes you to like
soldier.
5 or 6 different scenarios where you try to like fight through it, and then like you die, and
You
then
play as
it,
like a tank commander,
Yeah.
and then you play as like a soldier in the Black Company.
Yeah.
That was like basically set first, which is fucked up, and like
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that was where some of the impact of these World War II, and this is a topic for another time, but like Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 2 is one of my favorite World War II games of all time, always. And it's like you actually participate in the siege of Stalingrad on the Russian side, and that was another battle that very famously, they were sending people to the front line without weapons because they
right,
ran
you just
out
get
of
the
weapons,
ammo
right?
clip,
It was
and you have to
it was
find
you were
the
told
gun.
to find a gun on the nearest corpse and fight, and so it was I to me, and then that's where like Call of Duty came in and did like the whole terrorist thing, because Call of Duty was always about like recognizing the harsh truths of like battle and things, but like it's one thing, that's a whole different topic, but
Yeah.
you know.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here because we're not talking about Assassin's Creed
If you want to
anymore.
play Battlefield 5, Tyler, I have it. We can play.
I'll play. I like Battlefield 5.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you very much.